Well, the 123rd Vodacom Durban July is underway in Durban. Billed as Africa's greatest racing event, it will be run over 2,200 meters at Greyville. The annual betting frenzy on the iconic races surely in top gear. Let's get more on this event. Our reporter there is Mlungisi Khumalo. Mlungisi, thank you very much indeed for your time. Looking dashing in Durban. What's the latest?
Thank you very much, Blaine. Yes, like you mentioned, we are at the Greyville racecourse coming to you live. This is the Vodacom Durban July, and of course this year it has grown. And of course organizers did mention that this year will be different. It's going to be much more dynamic, much more extravagant indeed. And as you recall, Blaine, that this year's theme is the Stars of Africa. And I'm just going to allow Ndomnyano just to show you a brief overview of some of the models over here and some of the designs that we have. But to tell me more about the theme as well, I've got one of the designers, Warren Morg. Warren Morg, thank you very much for your time. This year's Durban July theme is African Stars. Was this difficult for you?
No, it wasn't at all. You know, having obviously live in Africa, and we have so much to draw from in our country and in our land. So yeah, it's just everyone's different interpretation of that. So I think it's been absolutely great. It's a brilliant theme, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah.
Warren, you come here each and every year. I remember last year I interviewed you. In fact, what's different about this year's theme?
Well, the theme is totally different. Last year we had it's about time, so you know, people did the whole time thing and clocks and whatever. But the theme, yeah, Stars of Africa, just brilliant. You know, you could work on the Africa thing, you could work on the star thing. So it's like I said, it's just the way each person interprets it their own way. Yeah.
Now, I understand that this is one of your models. Tell me more about the design.
Yeah, we wanted to do something South African and more locally Zulu. So we've got all the Zulu jewelry and the Zulu belt as the skirt, and then the Protea inspired bustier. So the Protea is our national flower, and then the leopard print and the Zulu shield on the hat, and then of course the big five, you know, from Africa on the fan, and then at the back of the fan we have our darling Madiba on the back. So how can you do Africa without our icon? So yeah, it was just celebrating Africa to the full. Just a combination of everything. Yeah.
And your model as well. Tell us more about the attire.
Yeah, Navad is he's a designer himself, so he made his outfit. So I think you can ask him.
Okay, Navad, thank you very much for your time. Beautiful outfits. Stars of Africa, tell us more about it.
Okay, so basically Stars of Africa could mean anything. It does not necessarily mean your African prince. We all are one diversity. We all are South Africans, Africa. So basically I incorporated a bit of the African theme as well as the Indian theme into my attire with a structured outlook.
And I love your outfits. Can you just turn around for us? Excellent, excellent. Stars of Africa. And I'm just going to approach this young lady as well. Thank you very much for your time. Beautiful dress. What inspired it?
Actually, I'm a model. My designer is out there, but I see that as African princess. You can see it as a shield here and on the side, and the name of the fabric is polyester.
Thank you very much for your time. You heard the Blaine that the MSP currently is extremely dynamic. Fashion designers have come out in their numbers. The food is something else, and of course we've got the mother of all parties, which is going to be hosted by DJ Tira, who's currently hosting the Facts Durban Rocks. And of course indeed we've got the party by Iyadini owner Mj over here, who's also here. And then you also understand that there were threats by a union that threatened to sort of like halt these events from going further on. But we understand that in the late hours of this morning rather, they actually sat down and they came to a conclusion, and they actually reached an agreement that this Africa's biggest horse racing event should actually go on, Blaine.
Yeah, no doubt. Bespoke designer wear behind you. Mlu, I was listening to Ken Twaddell, Gold Circle's Ken Twaddell, and he says, you know, this is one day where everybody feels like a star when they go to the Vodacom Durban July. Tell us about the crowds. Is it a capacity crowd this year?
Well, indeed, Ben, this year is no different as compared to the other years. This year has been extremely packed. I mean, yesterday we did speak to tourism authorities in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. They did mention that despite the economic meltdown in South Africa and despite the mini recession that we've had, people have still come out in their numbers to come here and spend in Durban. We understand, Ben, that there will be parties currently over here at the Greyville racecourse, and we also understand that in the late hours of this evening, there will also be parties, even tomorrow as well. Like I mentioned earlier on, we are at the Greyville. People are still flocking in their numbers. As we speak, most of the traffic in Durban has actually been brought to a standstill currently, but the crowds are also coming out in their numbers. I mentioned earlier on, of course, that the food is also quite awesome as well, Blaine.
Yeah, lots of high heels, lots of fascinators, and yes, I know what a fascinator is. The weather looks fine there, Mlu. It's normally quite warm during the day, but it tends to get a bit cold, chilly during the evening, isn't it?
Oh yes, Blaine. I mean, Durban's weather has not disappointed. Durban is also known as the banana city, so it never disappoints. We understand that's the maximum temperatures for today in Durban is currently 26 degrees Celsius, which is quite unusual for a winter in Durban, and everybody in this is looking dapper and smashing. And of course, I myself, let me just turn just a little bit, Blaine, so that you just see a bit of my suit. Now, my suit, of course, was inspired by the Egyptian purple, of course, being in line with the theme that we have currently here at the Durban July.
Egyptian. I hope it's not a foreshadow to what's expected at the AFCON between Bafana and Egypt. Tell us about, look, it's also a time where the tills will be ringing, and often people will put the horse before the budget, so to speak. Tell us about the betting. Any hot tips?
Oh yes, indeed, Glenn. I understand that currently one of the horses that is actually racing for the second time here at the Durban Vodacom July is actually tipped as the favorite, as you mentioned earlier on. But you know, Glenn, one also has to understand that the Vodacom Durban July is also an opportunity for some of South Africa's biggest politicians and of course some of South Africa's biggest business people, and of course indeed the social media influencers get to meet, and this is where indeed deals are also struck. Now I understand that currently there's most of the crowd have actually made their way to the Golden Circle tills where they have placed their bets, hopingly that they struck rich today, Plain.
Yeah, tell us about the infield Marquee as well, Mlu. It's normally a place to be as well.
Yeah, looking at the marquees, I mean, I'm fairly quite disappointed. We don't have as many marquees as we did in the previous year. I mean, This is what some of the tourism authorities did also mention to us earlier on. And quite interesting enough, they also mentioned that this year we have more tourists who come from outside South Africa as compared from inside South Africa. So they said despite the economic meltdown that we've had, they are hoping that the numbers of tourists who come from outside South Africa are just going to also make out. And of course, I mentioned to you, Glenn, that we've got DJ Tira's Facts Durban's Rock Marquee, which is known to host the mother of all parties. And of course, we've got a Marquee that is hosted by, of course, Vodacom itself. And we also have Marquee from Ayadin as well. And then also quite interesting enough, this year's Durban July weekend has more or less given township business people an opportunity to also showcase some of the attractions, so to speak. Because I understand yesterday that as we did a preview to Durban July, we also made our way to the township as well, and we interviewed various local business people who did mention that in fact that it's more or less changing. People are now making their way to the township whereby they want to feel more of this township experience rather than going more into the urban areas, and this has been very, very good for the township economy, Plain.
Yeah, township tourism key as well. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Stand by. We'll come back to you shortly. Maybe you can talk to some tourism officials and get more on this, some of the benefits of the Vodacom Durban July. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Mlungisi Khumalo there, looking dapper in Durban.